All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to United TV. Today is September 6, 2024. Today, we are going to have a little bit different format, and I'm going to actually start with our Lieutenant Governor, Bethany Hall-Long. Bethany is a dedicated public servant with a remarkable career spanning healthcare, mental health, advocacy, and in education. Bethany has been at the heart of Delaware's public strategy, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, where her leadership helped to guide the state through the unprecedented challenges. With a PhD in health policy and over 20 years of service in the General Assembly, she championed the effort to combat the opioid crisis, improve mental health services, and ensure that every Delawarean has access to the affordable health care. In her role as a Lieutenant Governor, Bethany has also been the passionate advocate for education, veteran services, and building a strong economy. Now she's running as a governor. Her vision is in the center of the creating a healthier, more equitable Delaware. And by addressing systematic issues in healthcare, expanding access to mental health resources, and fostering economic growth through the job creation and innovation. Bethany, we are honored to have you again here at United TV. How are you doing?
Great. Well, it's always awesome to be here with you, Kemal, and United TV. As you can tell, Friday before Tuesday election, I've been out actually canvassing, saying hello and greeting individuals. And I'm so thrilled to join you, your leadership in the state, and not only here regionally, but nationally. Your ACO being top tier, not only for our state, but gosh, in the top 17 of America. Who could not stop, take a little break from the politics, and have a great policy conversation with you? Thank you so much for having me today.
Of course, it's our honor. This election period actually is extremely different than and difficult than any other that we have seen before. But before I forget, I have to introduce our executive director, John Donnelly, who's my live partner here. Sean Donegan had a little emergency. Right now, he is recovering. He's okay. But he's not able to join us. So John was nice enough to fill in for him and help me to go through today's session. John, how are you doing?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Thanks for joining us, Bethany.
Thank you again. So I was going to go to the how different this election time was. One of the I just want to kind of go into one of the main issues, and we don't have a lot of time with you, so I don't want to take way too much. But what bothered me the most during this time? Of course, a lot of money being thrown into these, but a lot of outside money. And this is the Delaware's governor's race. So when I know that this is the main goal for someone who works in New York, everything that he does or she does is in New York, but then they are attacking us. One thing that I realized that, hey, this is different. This is not just a governor's race anymore. This is a different fight. And the only person they attack is Bethany Hall-Long. Now, of course, it just makes me to fight more against those types of people. But I guess being successful, being the favorite, does come with some responsibilities and some disadvantages. How do you actually see this, and how do you process this whole issue of being attacked by these outsiders on a regular basis?
Uh-oh. Hopefully we are not frozen. I think we may have
We are able to hear you.
Back. I know we are. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Great. I froze for a moment. The joys of technology, just like the joys of politics. Those who know me, a long-term public servant who really has a bold, as you know, bold, innovative plan, right? To make Delaware the best place to live, work, and raise a family. We're talking good economics, good education, good health care, good quality of life, housing. And you are right. It has been really disappointing. And I'm very concerned with the negativity of particularly Mr. Myers and the outside money. I call it dark money, trying to buy a governor. And listen, our state is not for sale. When you have a billionaire investing in this state, attacking me as a woman with a bullseye, that's going to go after our corporate structure, which is a third of our state budget. That's at stake, folks. That is a lot that affects education, healthcare, and guess what that could mean? A sales tax, higher property tax. And people need not be fooled by that. And I know my integrity speaks for itself. And I've just been disappointed. TV ads showing a woman that looks like me folding money, putting it in her shirt, almost in her, private undergarments. It's not Delaware. And I am so happy to have the opportunity to be with United to talk about what people care about. I go to bed every night worried about what keeps other Delawareans up. Rent and housing and food on their table, a solid education, universal childcare. And I have this outside dark money. And, Mr. Meyer with his campaign PAC, which is pay to play, change can't wait. All these developers, 25,000, 100,000 warehouse developers, they're the ones that we should be talking about. And the fact that I fixed a finance report with my own money where the campaign is confident that we loaned more than we ever were paid, and they're making something of that was self-reported and transparent. It's amazing to me. And so I just am appreciative to talk to you, to say, in Bethany, the first nurse governor, his second woman governor, you're going to have a fighter that's going to fight for the things that people care about. And certainly healthcare is certainly one of the key issues. And my record in the House and Senate with over 1,000 bills I sponsored in my tenure and my time really shows my commitment. So thank you for having me and the others today.
Bethany, knowing you for a while and working with you directly, I have a great advantage of to know exactly everything that you go through every day. I think you are putting a really important fight out there because the outside money is not supporting you. So
No.
I'm proud of that. I can tell you that because someone who supports you and knowing that this guy from New York hates us, that makes me happier.
So we need people to go out and to really vote, right, and to know what's behind that curtain.
But also what really bothers me, and I want to make sure that you and I, we are kind of on the same page here. Their goal is not just going after someone like yourself, but they are going after Delaware.
Our Chancery court. I want a diverse court. I'm about equity and diversity. I live every moment. You're a gentleman with a diverse global background yourself. Hands down, we need diversity. However, they're going after our Chancery, which is top in the country. It is a third of our budget, and that is serious business. And if we do not have that, because he's a sore loser, he lost in Chancery court to his, significant other. It is really important that individuals know that, and it's a shame. And so we need campaign reform. I've got a list of ideas for campaign finance reform so that others don't end up with a negative, false bullseye and lies and libel like I have experienced, and that we make the reforms that an outside person can't come in with unlimited millions of dollars and do this and buy our state. Delaware is not for sale. The governorship is not for sale. And I thank you and others for recognizing that.
Absolutely. I want us to kind of focus on this is maybe the last live session for us right before the primaries. You are someone who's so well accomplished, and not in just one area, but in several different areas. That's so important to run the state. There are so much work to do, and I don't see any other person who's more qualified than you are. Your understanding of healthcare, of course, is a huge, huge, huge issue. I just want to, without getting into the specific, I just want to give one simple example. Someone who's young out there, they may think that they don't need insurance today, and one emergency can ruin their lives. Mm-hmm. Right? And you and people like yourself made this available to the people in this state, make it affordable, and also understanding that, hey, you do need this because you need only one bad incident to ruin everything. So you may be so young, but then one emergency surgery can ruin everything.
Absolutely.
Because the system is expensive. But then your understanding on the education, which we do need a lot of work, and this is not just something that you need to do from your office, but everyone else in the state needs to work together. Now, John has 2 kids, and I do want to ask him, they probably go to a private school, right?
They do. They go to a private Catholic school.
Private Catholic school, and then they're
6 and 3.
6
My
and
oldest
3.
is in first grade, and youngest just started pre-K 3. So she'll have a few years there before kindergarten.
For someone like him, young parents, both parents are working. They have to put their kids to school, and then they have to really support them for a long time. This is just a start, by the way. You know that. So
Yeah.
that's where we need certain things already taken care of for those families. Not just for young families, but also for those elderly who needs more help.
Yes.
We have this issue where one of the insurance companies, they work with us to, I'm liking with the program name, but the blue, something called like blue neighborhood. So these
Yeah.
elderly, they do need help with
Yeah.
socializing because
Yep.
they don't have enough support. So this is where, having a strong governor, understanding everything, already knows what's happening. That's why we need you here. But what other things that you would like to tell us, since this may be the last chance before the primaries?
No, I just want to say thank you to the listening audience. And the bottom line is, you have in me somebody who is ready on day one, won't need on the job training, qualified. And despite all the negative character, false lies, and assassination that is occurring, basically, I just want individuals to know in me, I'm the same everyday Delawarean who cares about people, born and raised on that farm, first to get to go to college. During the pandemic resurgence, vaccinated over 4,000 Delawareans, leading that cause in 5 months, working with the mentally ill and homeless, and bringing the first overdose system of care into our community in this country. Our first creative economy study in America, which was the arts and the impact with hospitality, understanding ag and understanding justice. On the pardons board, I reformed that board. We're looking at reentry and giving people second chances. We lowered that 3-year wait to 3 months to be heard. Those are the actionable results you get when you elect a nurse. True results that care about families. And it's through that initiative that I have led. And that's why I humbly, was the leader of the national lieutenant governors and understand what is competitive across this country and going to really make sure Delaware is the best place to live, work, and raise a family. And I really appreciate that the Democratic Party has endorsed me, Governor Carney, 40 other state elected officials, our AFL-CIO.
On endorsements, let's just pause there a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you have the most number of endorsements of
Yes.
the other candidates,
Yes,
right?
yes. And endorsements are nice, but people need to vote and understand. And I appreciate those endorsements. Yes.
But that's really important because those people, they already know you and they have options.
They do. They recognize that all these other attacks are simply lies and mistruths and inaccuracies. So, having our governor, having 40 other electeds, having the Democrat Party, Emily's List, Stonewall Democrats for Equity, having the Teachers Union, the Troopers Association, the AFL-CIO, I am humbled by that. But again, I'm like everyone else that's here and have those innovative plans. And I'm so appreciative of being ready on day one and being that person who has raised in Sussex, represented Kent County as a state rep, represented Newcastle as a senator, and now the whole state as lieutenant governor. And I just am humbled, and I'm excited to do innovation with you, with United and others, and bring universal free childcare, change and increase affordable housing that individuals can afford, bring cutting edge STEM and fintech to this state. I've led the National Women and Mentors. I've been on the National Innovation Manufacturing Biopharma Board. We can do so much more together, and everyone knows. And why I have those endorsements is, Bethany, you have a seat at my table. I think half the state has my cell phone, and I'm not going to change that number, Kemal. You know me, you text me late at night, I'll answer. And that's what service is about. I started at the age of 13 as a volunteer at BB Hospital, and I hope to continue that same service. I've been humbled. I would really appreciate the continued opportunity to serve as Delaware's next governor. So thank you for today.
Well, you are one of the finest people that I have ever known.
Thank you.
A lot of these are politics. I'm sure people are going to just do whatever they need to do. The thing is, there has to be dignity. There has to be someone's self-respect to themselves. So
Thank
when you have to deal with some people who don't have those, then of course you have to deal the other part of the politics. But that's why we call you the Iron Lady of Delaware. So you
Aw.
are able to deal with these types of problems, attacks. I shouldn't say problems; these are attacks.
Yeah.
When you were on the ground with 4,000 people, you go through and do the COVID vaccine for these people. That time, no one wanted to be there, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there were volunteers with you, but many people, they just want to stay out of the public scene, maybe including even myself. I did it from my offices. We helped a lot, but I wasn't as brave as you were.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was on the street. I had a lot of Q-tips up Nary's nasal passages with my homeless, and homeless veterans is what brought me to the dance. I am so humbled to be a veteran's wife and daughter, and I've always cared. And I thank you for recognizing that. And I thank you for your leadership and your willingness to think out of the box to help change health policy, and technology in our state is critical. And I just have been humbled that you've given me a few moments. I've had a chance to cool off. I'm ready to go hit some more doors and greet more Delawareans and remind folks this week, early voting, Saturday, Sunday till 7 to 7. You can look up your closest area, no matter where in the county. You show up with your ID or utility bill, and the same on Tuesday. Please get out the vote. Let's show this dark money and these PACs that are trying to do pay for play or trying to buy Delaware. Let's show them. We don't have any room for those in Delaware. And thank you for voting for me.
Of course. So that's my honor. And I'm so happy to be with you, with your campaign, and being able to support you. Delaware needs you. That's number one. And you and your accomplishments, your qualifications, these are not easy. We've been covering this in the last several weeks, explaining people why. There are so many whys. Like, I just don't do things just because I have to ask like 5-6 times, why am I with this person versus that person, or why do I support this project? And every time I have those questions, I have really good answers in your under your leadership. And this is why I feel very optimistic for the future. So how are we celebrating this on Tuesday night? Where are we celebrating?
Tuesday night, we'll share with you. We'll send out the location. And like you said, in the meantime, just so appreciative of everyone's support. Please know all those lies. I'm the nurse. No fraud, no abuse, no criminal here. I just have to say, put that aside, recognize dark money is trying to buy Delaware. And we're really excited. I've got a great plan to help move all of our families forward to really make Delaware the best place to live, work, and raise a family.
So Delaware is very important for all of us, and Delaware comes first, and that's why we need you. Well, thank you so much. And I know busy time for you. You're on the side of the road somewhere, and I'm worried about. Thank you so much for joining us. And we have Dr. I say Dr. normally. We have Kyle Evans.
Okay, great.
Thank you again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Have a great day. Yep. Bye.
All right. Kyle Evans is in the waiting room, so I'm going to let her in. So today's format, John, as you can see, it's a little bit different. It's also very different than how we plan. So that's why we stopped planning. So
Get that.
all right, I'm letting Kyle in. All right. So you are not in the car. You are not on the side of the road. Kyle Evans is with us.
I'm here.
Our Delaware State Senator Kyle Evans, known for her commitment for environmental sustainability, criminal justice reform, and ensuring affordable health care for all. And Kyle has been a powerful voice for positive change in the state legislators as she continues to work to create better future for Delaware. Her focus is on innovative solutions to some of our most pressing issues. And she's running for Lieutenant Governor, and she was with us, I believe, sometime earlier this year, or it was maybe end of last year.
Last year, I think, yeah.
Like after the COVID, the time things are gone with me, so I can't really tell what's happening. But I think it was last fall. Thank you for being with us. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much. It's great to see you both.
So today we are trying something different. So it was, as we are trying to do things a little bit better and trying to do different things, then Sean had an emergency. So today, like yesterday and today, I needed him the most because a lot of backhand coordination needed, like because we never have three different guests. So and then boom, Sean is having an emergency. So, but he's okay. He said hi to you. I saw him today. We want to actually focus on your campaign. Primary is on Tuesday.
Yep.
How was your campaign? Did you get what you were expecting from the campaign in terms of your own performance? And what are we expecting for after the primaries?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking. It is what is on everyone's mind this week as we head into 4 more days before Election Day. I've been really pleased with the campaign. It's been over a year now that we've been on the campaign trail. I've been up and down the state multiple times, as you can imagine, especially making sure that being a Newcastle County resident, that I was embedded as much as possible in Kent and Sussex counties to be able to be a best representative of what they hope to see out of the next administration. What I always say to people is I'm superstitious, and so I'm always running like we're running from behind. But what I will say is that I have an incredible team. I have incredible volunteers and advocates. And I do really think that the work that we've been putting out there, our communications with voters, we've been getting great feedback. And that's what you want to see. You want to hear from voters that what you're working on and what you're lifting up is exactly what they want to see. And so I've been pleased with early voting. I've had a chance to vote myself already, and I'm looking forward to Election Day.
So do you think we're going to have a good turnout, like overall, for the elections, for primaries?
I do. I think that there's a lot going on. There are so many primaries this year. So kind of no matter where you are in the state, there's either something at the statewide level or something very local that I think will drive turnout. We see a lot of competitive House primaries where I think that we'll see a lot of people coming out to vote. And especially in the city of Wilmington, where there's primaries for city council as well, I am really enthusiastic about the potential turnout in Wilmington and how we can continue to get people engaged in this process. As you know, we've talked about before, a lot of my work in the Senate has been on voting rights and voting access. And I'm really excited to share and have been talking on the campaign trail about how my automatic voter registration bill has led to a 26% increase in voter registration. And that's what we want to see. We want people to come to the polls ready to vote and that they have access on that day. And I think we can keep doing more.
That's great. Now, you are still practicing law, right? So that's your full-time job is still continue. So, but that's going to change, I guess, after you become the Lieutenant Governor.
Well, so I have been taking a little bit of a leave from practicing law while I've been running statewide. Running statewide and serving in the 5th Senate District are two full-time jobs, let alone my 5- and 7-year-old, who absolutely deserve all the time that I and my husband are able to give them. And so I do a little bit of pro bono work, but I have been taking a break. And I do think, practicing law and serving the statewide could be a tough call. But I really hope that no matter what role I'm in, I'm able to leverage all the knowledge I've gained and my experience in the legal field to make sure that we're moving forward, making the best decisions for the state.
Well, we have your billboard on
yes, thank you.
11th Street right here. So I don't know if you were able to check the video that I made. We have Bethany, yourself, and Sarah. And I think that turned out to be the best corner of the city now. So I see people are taking pictures. And I try to avoid it, so I don't want them to think that because I'm in the picture, so I don't want them to think that I'm looking at my own pictures. So I have to kind of be careful. But so at least 3 or 4 different people taking pictures there. That's actually, this is kind of like one of the, what makes this election a little bit more important is we have great women leaders this time. I think it's like full house almost, and I am extremely proud of that. I have 2 sisters. I mentioned this to you before. One of whom was with me in our Turkey office, and the other one is she's in the higher up in the governments in Turkey. And being a woman and working and trying to compete in the condition that was set up by men is not the easiest thing. And you guys are doing a great job, and I think Delaware is doing a great job. When I see what inspired me for those billboards, when I have 3 women running for key positions. Now, we didn't have room for Congresswoman Lisa Rochester, but because she wasn't primary, so I didn't think she needed a lot of support from me, although we did support her a lot. But I think that's going to be really important. Now, you have done a lot for families and making sure that they have childcare and early education support. Now, I have a young parent in this room, John Donnelly. I think you guys met before. So John has a 6 and 3-year-old. They just start school. Both parents are working. And then when I see the support and the focus from the candidates who are actually promising things on childcare and early education, I think those are important because my employees here, a lot of young families. So what are they expecting in terms of your campaign, your plans for future once you have the Lieutenant Governor's seat as of next terms?
Yeah, thank you for focusing on this issue. And John, I hope that you're surviving the first couple weeks of school. We are getting there, especially with our kindergartner who just started school for the first time. We learned there's no rest time in kindergarten, so it's been quite a transition. But I think my focus on childcare came from my own experience, but also from the experience of families that I was meeting across Delaware and while I was campaigning, even before when I was doing advocacy work. What I want to highlight for those who see this as just a very large problem, right? There's so many aspects to it, is just the opportunity we have here. As Lieutenant Governor, there's an opportunity to look at systems and structures, and that's what childcare needs. That's what education needs. That's what environmental work needs. That's what healthcare needs. And I think we need to talk more about how all of these things are connected. And so when folks in the healthcare sector are trying to help patients on the back end, right, what we're looking at and what we should be looking at from the government side is how do we move upstream and try to do interventions like providing reliable, safe, trauma-free childcare to working parents who need that resource in order to keep their families moving economically and to make sure their children have access to educational opportunities as well. One thing I'd love to highlight is $30 million that was reinvested by the state recently in a program to eliminate co-pays for parents, which will make it easier for parents to get childcare if they need help, as well as investments that were made in providing parity and equality across our counties. So previously, Kent and Sussex counties got about 60% on the dollar that a Newcastle County family would get. And so we've brought that into parity, and what we will see there, I hope, is a reduction in those childcare deserts, more of an opportunity for parents statewide to achieve childcare access. And we're just really getting started, because really the dream is, and the hope is that we can slowly move eligibility up, provide even partial help for middle class households, because those with middle class incomes are still oftentimes paying more for childcare than they do for housing every month. And we need to be realistic about how important this is, not just to get kids educated, which it truly is, but also so that we can get Delawareans back to work. You've heard John Carney say it. I've heard John Carney say it. We have right now about 8,500 more jobs open than Delawareans looking for work. So it's a workforce issue, it's an education issue, it's a family issue. I think it's something that could dramatically transform the outcomes in our state.
And I know you are going to be a great Lieutenant Governor, and I know that's not going to be the last stop for you. I believe we'll see you in other positions in the future as well. Being part of your campaign and being able to support you and having a voice in your campaign from our point, like just being able to talk on behalf of United Medical Accountable Care, our providers, physicians, our employees. It's extremely important for us, and I do want to thank you for the opportunity. And well, I just asked Bethany, so I guess we'll be probably at the same place. Hopefully, we'll have a good celebration on Tuesday night. But of course, it's not going to be over there just yet. But that's the big part of it once we go through the primaries. So, Kyle, thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk once we go through the primaries, and we'll have you back hopefully. Thank you.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. All right, so I thought we would have a little bit in between, but then turned out Navarro is in the waiting room. So it's kind of like the marathon of the YouTube. So
Keep moving.
we'll keep moving, and we're going to let him in. All right. Trinidad Navarro is with us. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I am doing great. So, today is like a marathon. Like you are the third person, but we envisioned in a way that it was going to happen. So we'll have 15 minutes and have a break. That didn't happen. So this is great. We love it. So I just want to quickly introduce you. As our insurance commissioner, your strong advocacy for consumer protection, working to make healthcare more affordable, increasing transparency in insurance practices, and protect seniors from fraud. These are the highlights of the last several years that you are in this position. With a deep dedication to making the insurance industry fair and more accessible to the Delawarean is one of your main focuses, and we appreciate for that. So thank you for joining us, and you were with us last year, I believe it was September, and we did tell you that we wanted you to come back. So this is that time for coming back. So primary is going to be also important for you. How did you do? How's the campaign doing so far? And what are we expecting on Tuesday?
Well, I think the campaign's going remarkably well. I mean, the best time to campaign is, quite frankly, when you're not campaigning, right? So for the last 8 years, I've been to every senior center in Delaware. There for a while during COVID, we couldn't go, but we went there specifically, not to campaign, but to help people sign up for Medicare, help people who were unfortunately taken advantage of by these Medicare Advantage plans. So we have been to every Lions Club, senior centers, you name it, whether it's AARP. We've been to every place that we can think of to go to sort of educate the public about what we do. We see people think that the Department of Insurance sells insurance, and quite frankly, that's something that we couldn't possibly do. We regulate the industry, so it's been great. I have been fortunate to been endorsed by the Democratic Party, as well as a number of other entities, including the labor's unions, the AFL-CIO, as well as the Stonewall Democrats, and a number of others. So, it's great to be an incumbent at a time where there are no other incumbents. Everyone else, at least for the other statewide races, will be new. I have a unique 8 years of experience as a regulator, and there's really no training for that. It really has to be sort of on the job. So I have a unique perspective that other candidates don't have. So I've been pretty fortunate and blessed to be in this position. And people often ask, I know you have, what's next, right? The truth is, I love what I'm doing, because I used to be a police officer, policing the community. Now I police the insurance industry, and it's very rewarding because we're helping people.
Well, I do believe that you have a lot to offer for Delaware in the future. I know you make your decisions with your time frame, and I always tell people that I try to push them a little bit, but I know that, I respect your own time frame, but I know time to time I always use these video records as my proof that we are gonna see you in different positions in the future. So this election term is a little bit different. It's very tense, and I know primaries are going to be. It's all about winning, but then being from the same party, not just for your opponent but the others. I have to tell you this: like, I'm a little bit disappointed in terms of how some candidates didn't really handle the situation well. So when it comes to this election, it's all about Delaware, and our focus has to be Delaware. And being a small state, our niche is there are certain things we do, like our Medicaid program, for example, is one of the best Medicaid programs in the country. And you can't really do that in bigger states. So our size brings some niche for our state. And in terms of having insurance options, and I know your department did a lot of things to make things more affordable, and I know there's more to do. And but some of these comes with the experience, and you've been doing this for a while now, and the work is still not done. So what would you like to tell us in terms of your new term, your focus? What are those going to be?
Well, first of all, I have to say that I do agree with you that I am really disappointed in this election season. I mean, typically in Delaware, we've had our disagreements, but it hasn't been, dirty laundry hasn't been aired on the news, on the commercials. Almost every mailer I receive is a negative one. And that's really not Delaware. And I know I've spoken to a number of people who were really unhappy, and turned off by all the negativity.
Right.
And it doesn't help, right? I mean, elections should be about the future. It should be about what your plans are. But unfortunately, in today's society, it seems almost okay to disparage your opponent, especially when you're short on answers or solutions for the future. And so it really is frustrating for me. I would like to think that my campaign has been very positive. We've talked about what we've accomplished, of course, like you mentioned, bringing more insurers into Delaware so that people have options, right? So when you have options, the consumers always benefit. But then on the other side, when insurance companies are conducting prohibited practices, we have and will continue to hold them accountable. I don't know if you just saw in the paper just a few days ago or in the media, we had fined Highmark $353,000 for not.
They're my neighbor right now.
Yeah, for not reimbursing. That's okay. We're in good shape, but for not reimbursing the volunteer fire companies at a level they should have been, and for sending the checks to the patient instead of the volunteer companies, which is in our code, is our law. So we found multiple violations for that, and we held them accountable. The good news is that we are they're taking corrective actions, right? So that won't happen, and so that the volunteer fire companies won't suffer additional shortcomings because of the funding streams that come to them. So that's what we've done. A few things in the past, but in the future, what I'm really worried about is two things: artificial intelligence and how that can be used to unfairly discriminate against people. I mean, we argue that computers cannot be biased, right? But that person who's designing the software or the program, whether it's intentional or not, conscious or unconscious, can be biased. So we want to make sure that, for underwriting and claims processing, that artificial intelligence does not single out people based off of things like their race or age or education or employment or zip code. So that is a huge undertaking that I'm part of at the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. But the other thing that I mentioned that is concerning to me is climate change. So what's happened across the country, which the historic fires in Texas a few weeks ago, the 200 or so fires that are burning in California. And then if you look back at the hurricane that just hit about a month ago in Texas, I mean, that single incident flooded out about 100,000 cars. So that's 100,000 totaled cars that are, have to be scrapped. And so people don't understand or realize that what happens in other parts of our country and quite frankly, the globe with climate change has a profound impact on what we pay for insurance premiums here in Delaware. Not to mention the cost to repair your car or your home. Do you know how much a 2x4 costs today? It's probably around $8, right? A sheet of plywood is between $80 and $100. So when we look to repair our homes due to storm damage, the cost is through the roof. So those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to addressing in the future. Also, while making sure that insurance companies fulfill their obligations.
And this insurance companies, and when people hear this, when your office is finding them, I want to make sure that they understand that this is not a punitive attack on insurance companies. They are given privileges, being able to run an insurance company and also having a third-party administrator in the same city. Yeah. So this is requiring for them to follow our policies, and the policy is the clean claim needs to be paid in 30 days. Clean claim cannot be denied. And there are several different examples that I can give you right now, which when we met a couple of weeks ago, we talked about some of them. And today, what we see is a lot of irregular ways of not paying for claims. It's a clean claim. We have authorization, and then it's being denied for authorization. What we know is you cannot just deny that, and your office actually is the one that's helping physician offices to make sure that these claims are not getting those types of denials. So that's why these insurance companies are being dinged and being fined, and every little bit of it they deserve. So maybe Highmark is a good neighbor here, so I don't want to rock the boat with them, but they need to do their job. They need to pay their claims in a timely manner, not just for Highmark, but Aetna, Cigna, whoever is in the market. They really need to do their job. And I think your office, I know my office works with your office directly with these claims. You do report things to your office. And I know many physician offices, for whatever reason, they don't do. But one of the things that I also want to highlight, when we do this, yes, we are helping the physicians, but we are also helping the consumer, the patient, who is struggling with those denials, and then they would be billed for that if we don't get the resolution. So we are not just helping the physician, but helping the consumer as well. So your office is doing a really good job with us, and we are extremely pleased with your leadership in that office.
I appreciate you saying that, because when you help physicians, whether it's, ACOs, or whether it's primary care docs, or whether it's physical therapists, we're able to make sure that their claims are paid on time, right? We're looking at things like prior authorization. We are working with the General Assembly and Medical Society to pass that bill. And what that'll do is not only help folks like yourself and family care docs and specialty docs, but primarily helps the consumer, right? So they don't have to deal with the uncertainty of a procedure that a physician, not an insurance company, says that they need. And so we have worked with the Medical Society to get that bill done. We're going to look at things like clawbacks. Insurance companies can claw back money from you and from pharmacists and others who, the code is 2 years, right? It's 2 years, but in many cases, we found that they're clawing back beyond that 2-year period. And when that happens, and we don't know unless we get a complaint from folks like yourself, there's nothing much that we can do. But we've been able to work with our friends in the General Assembly, and that's why it's so important to have people in these types of elected positions who have relationships to get bills passed, whether it's codifying the protections of the ACA or codifying women's health issues or rights to choose. We've been able to do that with the help of our General Assembly. I don't write bills, or I should rephrase that. We can't pass bills, but we write them. And most of the bills that we have passed, 56 of them last year, were pro-consumers. We were able to hold the industry accountable for fulfilling their obligations and protecting consumers at the same time. That's what I love so much about this job.
And I know there are a lot to do, and we are going to actually give some reports from our side from some of the insurance offsets, takebacks, refunds.
Yeah.
And being able to have the dialogue is extremely important for us. And your office in the last several years, you were always open for these communications, and we always appreciate that. And that's part of it is that it's just my personal opinion. These these positions are not an easy one to learn if you already didn't serve in this position that you're right now sitting. You don't learn this from somewhere else. So to me, if I lose someone who already has a great accomplishment in that position for several years, and then replacing that person for a brand new person don't have much to offer, then I'm just going to go back all the way like 10 years ago and then try to start everything from the beginning. These are, this is why, to me, accomplishment is extremely important. Not just the time that you spend, but were you able to produce a meaningful outcome, and you have. And that's why we are supporting you, of course. Trinidad, thank you so much. And I know we have a couple of meetings coming up in the next couple of months. Election is not over yet. After the primaries, we still have to go through the regular election, but because of the primaries, it is important for you and for us. I wish you the best luck, and then I know you're going to be fine. And then we'll have you back before the main elections, hopefully. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
All right. Okay, Mr. Donnelly. So now you haven't been in these sessions for a while, so you see what's happening behind the scenes. So thank you for joining us today. So that really helped. There are certain people in my team, and you are one of those. When you are there, I'm calmer. So there are some people who makes me more anxious, but you're not one of those, and your support is always greatly appreciated. Now, we do talk time to time with these issues. What's your kind of like overall take on the elections?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all three of those candidates are very strong candidates that I would expect will have good days on Tuesday. And then obviously shouldn't have any issue in November as well. So I'm sure we'll be speaking with them more. A lot of the state issues that we're dealing with are also national issues. Childcare and education and healthcare expenses are being our issues for the country. So I'm hopeful that there will be some solutions in the next administrations. Because having kids is very expensive, and I know I have lots of friends that stop at one or two because they just can't afford to have more children.
So kids are more expensive than puppies, right? It's expensive than puppies. So that I would have kids.
Yes, I've had both. And it's not close.
But it's a huge responsibility, and then like again, it's the commitment, and then you realize how much your parents have done for you, and not just you, but the person who is now parenting, and it's not easy.
No.
And when you have financial issues, if the individuals have financial difficulties, or if they cannot really, when your kids are able to go to the private school, but what if they weren't able to? You were going to have the same peace of mind when they were in school, right? So that's a lot of anxiety, and that's one of the reasons that I want to stay involved with our state officials, and then make sure that not just from what we do in healthcare, but also from other parts of the society, because this is just like a one whole thing. It's not just, hey, you just do healthcare and then I do X and then you do Z. This is everything all together. So if things are not working out together, then we won't be feeling that safety, security for long term. Now, you also, as one of the two executives of United Medical and United Medical ACO, you have different roles other than your personal obligation to your family, but you are also one of the employers. You are partners here, and you see the difficulties in terms of hiring quality people, finding quality people, retaining them. This is not just what we are able to do from the employer side, but this is something to do with the affordable care. If insurance is what we are offering is, if it's affordable. So, and then you and I, we know those numbers went up so much in this last 14, 15 years. And that's kind of like what this is about. So we need to have a better control for the future. And I'm hoping that primaries are going to go uneventful. And we'll be back with our actual Democrat candidates. Hopefully Bethany will be back. Kyle, Sarah already is on the schedule. Lisa Rochester is very difficult to kind of pin on the schedule, but I will get her somehow. She and I, we talk time to time, and their campaign are doing just much better because they don't have to go through the primaries. But I think we have a really good team in Delaware, and hoping that next week is going to be a celebration for everyone. John, thank you again for joining me, and we'll be back with Bariatric Friday in the next 7 minutes.